You are currently looking at the 5 major platforms Nintendo has ever released: the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the Nintendo 64, the Nintendo GameCube, and the Nintendo Wii. Nintendo began in Japan as a small company marketing producing cards in a Japanese card game called Hanafunda. Within its time, the company had went through several names and experimented with several fields of business. Nintendo found itself in the video game industry and from there secured the rights in 1975 to distribute the first home video game console known as the Odyssey throughout Japan. This step led Nintendo to produce their very own first gaming console, the Color TV 6, and in 1977 take it to further development to create the Color TV 15. Although the games appeared to be variations of Pong, Nintendo continued in the gaming development, and the Donkey Kong game would become one of Japan's most famous games. In the late 70s and early 80s, gaming started to take off. Companies produced large arcade machines while others designed the games. Of many companies, Nintendo was one who developed games. As the popular demand to bring arcade machines home, consumers were in desperate need of home arcade machines. Companies like the Atari made it possible for games to be played at home with the Atari 2600, which brought gaming to another level. Soon, other companies like Mattel with the Intellivision and Coleco with the ColecoVision began to plagiarize the Atari 2600, designing similar yet more complex machines. But this gave Nintendo a huge advantage, as it could sell its famous games, Donkey Kong and Mario Bros., to 3 different companies. And this would be Nintendo's smartest career, by selling the Donkey Kong game with every ColecoVision. The video game crash of 1983 not only eliminated Atari, but the vast majority of the gaming market in America. Nintendo, being Japanese, was now on its own and had no support. But this allowed Japan to steal the gaming market, as Nintendo became most successful in 1983 with the release of the Famicom, and saved the gaming industry with the American version, the Nintendo Entertainment System, in 1985. Back in the day, anyone could produce and sell games for the Atari. This was the largest factor for the video game crash of '83. But Nintendo had learned from the mistakes of Atari, and would only sell games that received their seal of equality to be sold and used. However, this changed when companies found ways around the protection chip inside the Nintendos and started making unlicensed games, such as Wisdom Trees with their Bible games. following the release of the Super Nintendo, marked a major console war fought between the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, introducing 16-bit graphics, marking an era known as the Console Wars. In the past, games were globs of colored shapes, lines, and squares, but the NES introduced 8-bit graphics to increase the look. Essentially, the improvement of bit graphics only showed more pixels to advance the image, but the feud raged on between the companies on which was better. The NES sold more, but it is a controversial opinion. Which console is better? In 1989, Nintendo released the Game Boy as a way of making gaming portable, as many of the NES games were reconstructed for the use on the Game Boy. Of course, the Game Boy was competing with the Sega Nomad, which replicated the Game Boy, only Sega had designed it so the actual game cartridges for the Sega Genesis could be used with the Nomad instead of having to redesign smaller cartridges. The console war continues today, with the PlayStation 3 and Microsoft's Xbox 360 and the Nintendo Wii. Although Nintendo saved the gaming industry, marking the Wii as a family console may have been Nintendo's worst mistake. As a result of this move, competitors are stealing the attention, and the majority of gamers are involved with other platforms.
Use your hands? That's like a baby's toy.
Generally, most gamers are the ones who grew up on the first generation of games and have experienced them all. The age group has now shot up, and older gamers are not interested in child games. The Nintendo DS has done the same thing as the Wii in marketing it, too, as a platform for families. The games are failing to appeal to the vast majority of gamers, therefore, gamers are turning to other platforms. The only advantage for the Wii is it's cheaper, but it cannot do the things that PS3 or Xbox can. Although the Wii dominated the sales for the sole purpose of being the least expensive, the quality of games do not please the gamers. Therefore, Nintendo's reign as champion of the gaming industry may be closing.
Lately you're the only one that I'm thinking of. And while you're around me, I think of our sweet love. I hope we can take this day and try to compromise, 'cause all I ever do is dream about those dreamy eyes. So let me hold you close, and then you might see